Hi everybody, Donna Salazar here. Today I'm going to do a video that's going to give you some tips and techniques for using my Smooch Spritz from ClearSnap. This is the original set that I did. It's my signature colors. There's 8 colors here. And then I have 3 more colors that were added on. And that's Holly Berries, Candle Glow, and Evergreen. Now they don't come in this bottle. This is something that that ClearSnap sells separately, and they're just plain clean bottles. But what I like to do is take a couple of the smaller bottles and pour them into the larger bottles, and then because I go through so much, you might not go through as much spritz as I do, but I use it on pretty much everything. So it's something that you can do. If you use it a lot, it's something that you can do to help make your spritz last a little longer. Now, before I start showing some of the fun things that you can do with the Smooch Spritz, I'm going to address a question that I get asked all the time. There is a ton of pigment and mica in these spritzes. I don't know if you could see it, but yeah, you can see it. See here on the end, there's a ton of mica inside of here, plus all of the pigment. And you can shake it any way you want. I used to tell people that you had to mix them this way, but you can shake them really aggressively, vigorously. But the most important thing is that you shake it every time before you press the nozzle down. It's going to help you so much in preventing clogs if you do that. Now, if you do get a clog, because like I said, there's so much pigment in there, I'm going to show you what you can do to help to clear up the clogs. And what I like to do is when I finish a bottle, so when I'm done with the spritz and it's empty, I will keep the nozzles and I'll clean them out, because if I'm in the middle of a project and my nozzle clogs, then I can just switch the nozzle out really quickly and keep going, and then I take the clogged nozzle and I put it in a little jar that has 409 in it. And for my friends who are international, a lot of you don't know what 409 is. It's just a household cleaner. It's got degreasing and grime agents in it, but it's a fairly strong household cleaner, and it works really well with cleaning out the nozzles. What you'll need is a bowl of water. You'll need your 409, and you want it to sit in the 409 for, I don't know, a good couple hours, sometimes more. Some of the darker colors tend to clog a little bit more. And it's best if you could do this in a sink, but I don't have a sink close to a camera. So you'll want to rinse it out really well. Underneath the faucet would be best, but this will work just fine. And I am using warm water. It doesn't have to be hot, just warm water is good. Make sure that the top of the nozzle, this part up here, is nice and clean. And then you're going to keep the bottom of the nozzle in the water, and you are going to try and spray it until it runs clear. And there you go. It's all clean. There's no more spritz inside of the nozzle, and you'll be able to stick this in your little bag and save that for later. One more thing I wanted to mention is sometimes the spritz inside the bottle can be deceivingly a different color. This is my mixed berries color, and a lot of people look at it and think, ooh, that's a nice dark purple color. However, it's not. This is one of the lightest colors that I have in my color collection. And if you look at the top of the cap, you can see it's a really, really faint color. It has just kind of a purpley tint to it. The color of the mica inside is also a good indication. But that's something that I like to mention, because you may look at a bottle and think that it is much darker, but it really is a much better indication of the color that you'll have inside of your spritz bottle. Now I'm going to show you some of the techniques, and I'm going to just use a regular manila tag. I'm going to place it inside of the color catcher, and I'm going to just spritz using no water or anything, just plain spritz. And you want to make sure they're very shaken up, because that is going to help you to keep the clogging in the nozzle down. Okay, so that is just regular spritz, but I think a better way to show how awesome these colors are, we're going to take another tag, and this time we're going to just take some plain water. We're going to really wet this tag down. We want the water dripping right off, and we're going to spritz. So that was a half of a pump of the spritz bottle, and look at all of the color. I think that's one of the best demonstrations of the color in the Smooch Spritz. So this is another one of my favorite techniques to use with the spritz. I have a tag inside of the color catcher, and it has some embossing on it. So I stamped with my Honey Mixed Media inks. I stamped an image, and then I embossed it with clear embossing powder. When you're going to spritz, it's going to be a bit of a resist. And again, I love using water with the Smooch Spritz. And so I'm just going to saturate that tag again, plain water. So now I'm just adding in some spritzing here and there. We're going to let that just drip for a minute. Then I'm going to take water just over the bottom, and I'm just going to dab just a little bit. I'm not taking all the color off, just a little bit of the extra moisture. And I'm going to hit this with a heat gun, and then once it's done, we'll dab off a little bit more of that color. So before it's completely dry, I'm going to use a baby wipe, and I'm going to just kind of buff over the top of that. If you were to completely dry this, the spritz would then be stuck in the embossing, and you wouldn't have as good of a resist. Now what I'd like to do is take a paintbrush, and I'm going to take this spritz and spritz it right onto a clear acrylic block. And I'm going to take that paintbrush, and that's a lot of color. I'm just eyeballing it, but I can tell that's going to be darker than I want. So I'm going to add a little bit more water to tone that down a little bit. And then you can come in and add a little bit more around the edges to really make that image show up a little bit better. This is from one of the $5 e-classes that I have on the Girly Grungeoning site, and I show you how you can get probably 30 images or so by inking your stamp just one time, and then there's several ways that you can increase the amount of images that you can stamp, and one of them is using Smooch Spritz. So we've placed the tag into the color catcher, and we're going to spritz it with Evergreen and Wood Stain. Again, we need to saturate the tag. We're going to start with the Evergreen at the top, and we're going to put the Wood Stain down here on the bottom. Then we're going to add a little bit of water to the middle so they blend together. And get the drips going. I love the drips. And once I like the way that the color's blending, then I'm going to lay it flat. And we're going to dry it just a little bit to set the color, and then we'll buff over that image. Okay, so now it's mostly dry, and we're just going to kind of buff over the top of this. There we go. And then we'll dry it all the way. And that is the finished image. You can see all the different colors in there. Okay, there's one more thing that I wanted to show you about the spritz, and it is how well it blends with my mixed media inks, because my mixed media inks are also water-based and blend really well with water. So the inks actually blend really well with the Smooch Spritz. So this is one of my new stamps. It's called Hand Drawn Rose Corner. And I'm just going to stamp it. And now I'm going to take some of my Pralines and Cream spritz onto a clear tag, or on a clear acrylic block. These are my acrylic blocks. They're really nice. They're a lot thinner than normal blocks because my stamps are so thick. So now I'm going to take some of the spritz onto a paintbrush, and I'm going to just come into these areas where it's darker and blend. So here is a close-up of what is going on. And there you have it. Shiny, sparkly watercolor. And that's the finished tag. Now, something else that is fabulous about these Smooch Spritzes, as you can see my hand's very dirty and spritzy. I'm just going to use a baby wipe, and the color comes right off. Let me move my ring. So your hands won't be stained for weeks, because I know not everybody likes having messy hands like I do. I don't mind. I like messy, inky hands. Makes me happy. I call it happy hands. And there you go. All the ink is off. Isn't that great? So I hope that you enjoyed the tips and the techniques that I've shown you using my Smooch Spritz, and I'd love to have you come and join me on the free web show that I do every other Tuesday at 7 o'clock p.m. Pacific called Tuesday Tutorials. The address is here. And I'd also love to have you come and join me for some of my e-classes that I do on my Ning site. I have a lot of technique classes that are only $5 or $10, and that website is here. You can join the Girly Grunge site for free. There's also free tutorials and challenges and giveaways, all kinds of fun stuff that you can do over there. So thanks for joining me. Bye! So I hope you enjoyed the tips and the... So those are lots of fun little techniques that I've shown you, and I hope that you enjoyed that. You enjoyed the tips and the techniques that I have shown you.